All right, good.
Yeah, we can see your screen as well, Shorty.
All right, perfect. So a lot of traders, and not saying anyone on the call here, does not understand the structure of the market, right? So there's micro trends and there's macro trends, and then there's your entry trend lines that I call them that you can use to get into the markets, right? Or into the trade, sorry. So when you look at a chart, usually you want to start on looking at on the higher time frame, right? You want to look at to make sure that we are still bullish or bearish overall, so that way you know what the trend is. So for instance, looking at Apple here, and actually there's an indicator, here you go, like this one, that will mark these lines for you. Like the blue lines are the major trend lines, and the in between the dotted lines are the micro trend lines. Okay, so if you look at Apple, right, or into the trade, sorry. So when you look at a chart, usually you want to start on looking at on the higher time frame, right? You want to look at to make sure that we are still bullish or bearish overall, so that way you know what the trend is. So for instance, looking at Apple here, and actually there's an indicator, here you go, like this one, that will mark these lines for you. Like the blue lines are the major trend lines, and the in between the dotted lines are the micro trend lines. Okay, so if you look at Apple, right, once it broke this higher high, obviously here, this was the highest high here at 60, then it created a new higher high. It created a new basically high, and this is trending up. It's making higher highs plus higher lows equals bullish market. Lower highs plus lower lows equals bearish market. Any combo that's not above is simply consolidation. And that's where we look for entries if you're looking to play the micro trends. So in this case, right, we're still in a very healthy bullish trend. Apple made a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and obviously now it's still in the higher highs. So in order for this to be reversed, what do you guys think needs to happen here on Apple, on weekly chart?
Need to make a lower high.
But that does not mean it's bearish. So if the stock was to come up to here, and let's say it reverses from here to here, I'm trying to keep, yeah. So if it does something like this, this is not a bearish trend yet. This would not be bearish trend. The only way you would consider it to be bearish trend if it took out this the previous higher low. Okay, and some could argue that this is another one here. You guys see this one here? You could say that this is another higher low here. You guys see this little peak here? It's not big, but let's call it higher low right here. The major one is right here. So if it was to break 138, that means that the trend is reversing, and you just better be careful that Apple might go bearish. It's when bearish markets lower high plus lower low. So if it puts in a lower high, right, then it needs to take out the previous higher low, and then it's confirmed downtrend. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is weekly, and this is a major, major trend. If you look at this, right? So here's SPY, right? I mean, and you see a lot of these micro trends, right? You see the lower highs compared to here. You see the lower lows in this case, where it tried to kind of go into a trend, in a bearish trend, but they quickly came back and they continued into the higher highs, higher lows, and this higher high took out the previous higher high, as well as this one here that was based on the major trend. So when you're trading and when you're going into lower time frames, for instance, now let's switch to kind of like daily, you want to be aware of these, and really don't need all these indicators to tell you all these lines. You should be able to recognize these levels here. And every time, as I mentioned earlier, when you don't have a setup where it's higher high plus higher lows, you have, for instance, here, you have a higher high. Let's just change this text to be white. Okay, so here we have a higher high, right? Here you have a lower high. If you're looking to take something to the upside, right, the simple rule is just take your trend line and connect these. And there's two ways you can play this, right? In this case, I'll connect my, the lower lows, and you guys see that there's a triangle that's forming, correct? So once you have a triangle that's forming like this, there's two ways you can play it. You can play the break of the trend line, this one here. This is your entry trend line, basically. Or, so for instance, the way I gauge this is here. So if I was to go to the high here, do you see the space that's in between here? this little area that's in between the top here, between the lower high and your entry, to me personally, this is not worth the risk for me to get in on a higher time frame. I'd rather wait for it to break this higher high and usually wait for a retest and then take it long. So if you guys look right here, you see the little space right here that's there. You can take that, right? But there's a high chance you're going to get a rejection here. Like this one obviously took off, but it did come back. So for me, this is what you pay attention. How far is the trend line that you're drawing from the next higher high, right? So if the line was somewhere around here, like this one wasn't there. If it was up here, well, that's a good decent range. 358. I'm looking at about a break of 350. That's 8 points here. 353 to 358. It's not bad. I mean, I'm sorry, 350 to 354. It's not bad, but it's not $8. It's half of that. So if I'm going to be swinging something, right, based on the daily chart, I would want a little bit more space to be here so that I'm not on a losing trade if it rejects here and comes back quickly down. Does that make sense to everyone? High, high, lower high, you connect them, and you're watching the trend to break. You're paying attention where the previous high is. In this case, it was a lower high. A true trend reversal happens here at 358.76. And you guys can tell on this lower high, look what they did. They broke it, and look at this perfect comeback on the entry. This is where you take the trade. Professionally, you will get the trade here on this candle. Right here, you take the trade long, and you put your stop loss to be around here. So you're risking about 3 points here, right? So if you look at it, the trade, you're taking the trade here, and your stop loss is around here. And how do we figure out what the target should be? Does anyone have an idea? On a contracting triangle like this. All right. Where do I draw the fibs from?
The swing high to low.
Which one?
The first one.
Who's speaking? Is this Ryan? Ryan, are you this you?
No, Slabby.
Okay. Yep. You're right. So it seems like Slabby paid attention when I did some work. Okay, so here's what you do is whenever you have a contracting triangle like this, what you want to do is you want to grab basically the A to B swing, the highest swing, to project the targets for you. So if you look at the fibs now, I don't have a lot of fibs, and you guys can write these down. They'll be in your videos. There's only a handful of fibs that I actually care about, and these are it. This is 0.618. This is not a true fib, but I use it. 50%, the 1272, 1618, the 2272, and 2618. These are your golden ratio fibs right here. And then the 1272, it's really, really well respected. Some people use slight different variations of it. I like this one because it does hit a lot. And here's the scenario. So this is our entry, and look how well these fibs hit. So if you got in here, your first trade would have been to 369. So if I go here to 369, do you guys see the risk to reward ratio? Do you guys understand this? Mm-hmm. This is where you answer yes or no, everybody.
I'm going to say no just for the group. No, we don't understand. Okay,
good. So your risk to reward ratio is what are you risking in order to what you're going to make. So I entered a long position here, right, at 352, and you can tell how it's calculating. If I entered at 352 and my stop loss is right here, right, so between 354.02, this line right here, and 315.72, how much, what's the difference there?
70 cents.
Or,
$4.70.
Yeah, $4.70. But my reward is from this entry, since I'm taking it on the break of 354, let's just round it up, all the way to the first target of 369. So my reward is about $15. Call it $15.15. So it's a really good trade. You're risking $4, this area here, to make about 15 here. This trade, you definitely take long. You want to take this trade long. And then your second, this is my first exit. If I'm swinging and I have this type of setup, this is my first exit here. You can use this as a first exit, and your second exit would be here, where you keep one contract and you let it run. You guys see what type of reward this is? 8-1. So if I was to take the difference between 354 and 382, that's about $18, right? $18 reward for about $4 risk. So it's about $8 to 1 risk to reward. So this is the trade that looks very, very good. And in this example, we actually added something, squeezed in the Fibonacci. So every time you draw Fibonacci's, and you can draw them on many different, if you're not comfortable, practice it. But what I like to do is I look for the contracting triangles, like this one here, and I grab the beginning of it to the bottom of it, from here to here. You grab this. You can also grab this one. Nothing wrong with grabbing this one. There's really no wrong way. What you're doing when you're doing the fibs, so if I was to do this, when you take the fibs, basically what you're asking and what you're doing is you're trying to replicate this swing here. This swing high to this swing low, you want to project. If this was to replicate in the market, if you're to take the same distance from here, where does it project? So it's telling you that 127% of this move is right here. 161.8% of this move is right here, and so on, okay? So if I was to take this and basically stack them here, you would see if I was to add 200%, you guys would see that, just logically, if I was to put the same distance on top of it here, it would be lined up perfectly to this level. Does that make sense? I'm looking for swings to make sure they replicate in the future, and market works in cycles. Therefore, this cycle is going to repeat. I just want to know where I want to take profit, because Fibonacci numbers are really heavily used by pretty much all the hedge funds, all the algo makers. They use Fibonacci numbers. So it doesn't make sense for us not to use them to project the levels, because they use it as well. And now you might be asking, well, how can I apply this in day trading, right? I mean, if you don't want to swing, understanding this on daily is great. A lot of you guys know about triangles, you know about ascending, descending, symmetrical triangles. But if you're using 15 minutes and you combine this knowledge with what you have in terms of, if you're using the orbs and you add, whether it's trend lines or you add the bear flags, descending, ascending triangles, this can help you tremendously. So now I'll give you a few scenarios here on Apple on 15 minutes, and you guys see how much chop there is right here. So in this case right here, let's just start from the bottom. It had a higher high. It's making a lower high right here. And you guys see that it continued making lower highs. Here it tried to put it in, but then of course they gapped it up. And it seems like there was gaps for the past 2 weeks everywhere. If you're trading this, connecting the upper trend lines, for instance here, is a good indication. Once it breaks this, and you can wait. You can buy it here on the break, or you wait for this to be broken into, then you're making higher high. Usually the way stocks behave, they will come back and retest this before they go higher. In this case, Apple and many others, they've just been gapping up and going crazier above. But we can go back in normal times when stocks actually respected the TA and respected the movements. Okay, so let me go here. So here's a nice consolidation right here. I want you to pay attention to this area. I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so here's a good one. So it made a higher high, lower high, lower high. Another lower high. But you guys notice something that changed here. Instead of making lower lows, it started making higher lows, but still making lower highs. As soon as that happens, as we said, you're looking for consolidation here. You draw your top, and the bottoms, and basically you can play the break. Like for this instance here, it's actually not worth waiting kind of to get in on this here. I mean, it's really close by. You can get in on the break of this right here and you'll be okay. The problem is, again, there was a gap down and it continues. Okay, well, here's Lulu, which is a really good indication of a downtrend. So we can start from the uptrend, making, made a lower low, then they made a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and it keeps going, right? Higher high, higher low, and now here it's consolidation. You guys see here that it struggled to make a higher high. So for me, what I typically do is I'll just do this. I'll draw this trend line right here, and if you're making a lower high, this was basically your low of this one. So watch this now. This would be your entry here for short. This right here is your entry for shorting. This right here was your entry for shorting right here. You could have waited. If you're more risk averse, you're welcome to wait this break right here. You guys see it? There's a little bit of space there, but not enough where, in 15 minutes where you can say, oh man, 467.96, 467.95. For me personally, I would take that on the break of this candle, and you see here how it worked out, right? This is a pretty good trade. And then if you wanted to figure out how far was it going to go, you simply take your fibs. If you're not familiar, there's a bunch of fibs here on the left. I have the fib retracement saved, so they pop up on a little pop like screen here, so I don't have to keep going here. So you would select Fib retracements. Usually you want the magnet on, and you just mark them. And what do you see, guys? It's actually hitting every single target perfectly. It hit the 127 on the dot, and it hit the 1618 on the dot. Even if you took all your profits here, it's a really, really good trade. So if you look at the short position, let's look at it right here. So this would be your, this would be your stop loss right here. And this would be your target. And this trade would be 2.45 to 1. Actually not a bad trade. You want your trades to be minimum 2 to 1. So look, I mean, this is the easiest concept that people forget to trade, is the break of these, looking for triangles, looking for consolidations. And then when the stock starts putting in lower lows, that reverses it. And for instance, here, it was a higher high, lower high. And here, it's still actually a higher low compared to the rest. But here's where it took that trend changed right here. Now you have a lower high and a lower low compared to the previous one. And obviously here, you know, it's still a lower low, and then it's still a lower high. So it's still in a very downtrend. So if you wanted to look for a reversal on this, on the change of on the sides, you know, if you wanted to come back here and it's like, okay, well, is this stock ever going to return? Lower high, lower high, lower high. Then you have something called the falling wedge being formed, like so right here. And this is where you can start looking at long potential, right? So you're looking for something to take out the previous highs. And for me, none of these highs are pretty significant as much as this one is here. So for me, you can look for this one right here. So once this one is broken, and you see how well this one was respected. If you took it here, that's pretty good. 453 to 462. I am pretty certain you can make money on that. So you take it here, and then you can take the trade here. If this is your entry, your lower low should be your stop loss here, especially if you're trying to swing here on the 15-minute chart. So if I was to play this on the long side, if this was my entry and this is my stop loss, how do we find the target?
Fibs.
Which points? For me, it would be these. Let me just remove this 200 so I don't get confused. Okay, well, these would be my targets. So if I was playing this, you could go from this side to here. Another way, when you have a really falling wedge, the way you can chart the fibs is, watch this. So you see the 127 is actually not really well respected. Neither is your 61.8. My first check on the fibs is to see if the 61.8 is being respected. If the 61.8 is not being respected, then something's wrong with my fibs the way I selected them. And this one here needs to go to the bottom right here. Okay, so for me, and you can tell that this stock just went bananas, right? Obviously, it hit here, and then it just took off. It completely went off. But this was a bigger falling wedge than I made it to be here. So if you're to look a little bit here, it started all the way from here. It started consolidating. So if I wanted to, honestly, it could be something like this that I'm drawing here. And then if I'm drawing this side, it would be something similar to this. It's much bigger than what I grabbed here. So then just make sure you have your lines. And this looks more realistic here. Your 61.8, if you look at it, it's perfectly respected. Your 50% is respected. And then you see how well it consolidated in some instances here before. And you see the rejection to the left. Here's a rejection of 50%. So this is more likely that it's going to work on this side than it would have if I selected a smaller triangle. Then you can always change this to be to the bottom of here and see how that works. And this is even better. I grab the top, I grab to the bottom, and look how well this is now. It's respecting the 61.8. Let me remove this line here. It's respecting this line almost perfectly here on the dot. You see this? Perfect rejection. It came here with a little fake out with the double bottom, and then it started going, and it hit perfect targets. I don't even have to go above, because you look, 127 hit, try to hold it, and 1618 got hit perfectly as well. Any questions so far?
Does the same idea remain for like smaller time frame, like?
Perfect question. Yeah. So let's say we're intraday trading, right? You're trading for, let's say you want to be scalping, right? So this is the close on Thursday. This is 16th. Here's the open. So we basically had 387. So here's the higher high. And then you see that you have lower highs, right? And this happens a lot in the first hour and a half. If you look here, I mean, you got some really, really good entries here. So you have a higher high, lower high, lower high, higher low, higher low. That means we're consolidating. So if you're to grab fibs, and this is just, to me, this is just always like magic. Like what?
Shorty, you're just using the recent swing high, swing low, or what when you identify those?
So when you do the triangles, whenever you have the triangles and they're contracting like this, you grab the starter. So if you're to look at your patterns, so if you look at your pattern, this is your A, B, this is your C, and this is your D here. Right, so it's a contracting triangle, and you usually grab from A to B to find the projection where you're going to take the money, and it's usually the 127 that you're going to take most of your money. 85% to 90% of your taking profit should be on this level. Your runners go up to here. So here's the 3 minutes that you could have used, right? So let's look at AMD for a second. I know there's a lot of people taking trades on AMD. So here's AMD. So this is actually much simpler here. We open, right? So even if you wanted to go, let's say you're crazy shorty sometimes, and you want to use the 1 minute. There's few tricks you can do when you're playing. So here's the open on AMD. Obviously, I believe it gapped down, right? It gapped down, then they pushed nicely here. So you personally, what you would have done here, because you don't see the rest of the candles, is you would have connected right here. You would have connected right here, and you would have been like, okay, well, let me take a trade as soon as this breaks. And this is where a lot of newbie traders, they fail. A lot of times what they will do, it's called a trap. They will pretend they're going to go up like this candle right here, and they will slam it back down. What I suggest you do, if you see some kind of consolidation when this happens like this, you draw your top trend lines here. It really hasn't made a swing yet. You guys see that? It's just been dragging down. It has not made a swing. You want it to have another peak and then another comeback, so that way you can grab this and say, oh yeah, this is it. This is right here. This is what I'm looking for. Does that make sense or no? Am I losing you guys? So I do want to see usually another swing. If you don't see another swing, what do you do then? Let me see everybody now, the entries. If you don't see it, what do you do?
Break of that red candle with the long wick.
Correct. So my entry would be this. This is now a consolidation. It's called rectangular consolidation. And what you're looking for, you don't care, honestly. And you do want to grab this one eventually here once it prints. If you're playing here, you probably would have been played on this one because it would have been under. But you have your day low here. So this, in the world of orbs, this is your orb low so far. It printed at 9:30, and it seems like we never broke it till 10. So this was your orb low right here. So, you have the scripts. They do it for you. You mark this as orb low. You can short it below the orb low. You take a long above this one right here. And just pay attention now. I'll just drag this for the rest of the day here. And watch this. It came back, and then it exploded from that section. It went again to the higher side, and it did pretty well. If you're day trading, and let's say you're trying this before 10 a.m., which it seems like you would have here, you can catch some nice moves before 10 a.m., but you have to apply these principles, right? You have to understand your overall picture of the market that we did, on the daily, right? Where are we now? So previously, this is the low that if you want to take out, so there's a low right here, if you guys see it. This is your higher high, lower high, higher high, lower high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, and lower high. Actually, AMD entered a bear trend up almost here at 145.12. When they broke it, they actually reversed the trend on AMD. Do you guys understand that? Because right now, we're printing candles in We are in actually true bearish mode right now, not like a bearish mode, but we reversed the trend from bullish to bearish. Now, if it takes out this candle right here, this low, this is it. We're going to go much lower, and your first target would be the next lower low, which was about 118, 120, call it on a good day. And you have some resistance here as well. So 122. So this is, you're looking at AMD. This was the day candle on Friday. I personally want to know the previous day low, and I want to know the previous day high. Obviously, in the previous day high is really far out because we had the crazy day the day before. And here's, right, so if I go now on my, let's say, 3 minutes, which is typically what I use. Yep, so here's the 17 3 minutes. If I know the previous day low is 137.02, it's not a bad level to take the trade from it long. And you can see what happened here. The bulls actually defended this level, and they really wanted to close this above 140. They've been trying to get it back about 140 so badly, but they haven't been successful. So back to the beginning here. You see the consolidation, right? It's pretty obvious that it's consolidating from the morning, right? So what I like to do, if I don't get the peak, I like to find the candles, top wicks, bottom wicks, and then basically I draw that trend line and I extend that box as far as I can to the right and let that be my supply and demand zone for the day. Okay, so now watch. You took this trade, for instance. Let's say you took this trade here on the break of this one. I mean, if you took this trade right here and you took it all the way till Shorty gets the magnets going, do you need better targets than this? You basically got in at 137. Your first target was 140.41. I mean, it's almost perfect rejection. Once, twice, 3 times perfect rejection. And then it came back above it. It hit your 1618, and then it came back to 127. So then, let's say you took most of your money, especially on Friday, 0 DTEs. I don't suggest that you be a hero and you try to get 5,000%. This move here probably would have resulted in 100% on some options. And the best part is, if you put your trend bar on this and you're using the proper candles on it, this trade would have kept you in all the way in. I mean, even here in the beginning, because it's a little bit more unreal to use it, here you have your target. As soon as it hits your target, get out or trim it. And if you're, you bought 10 contracts, trim 9 here and keep the 1. So this one here probably would have made you an extra 100, 200 bucks in this range because it went for $1.50 more. If you played 140s, it would have been almost $2 in the money. So that would have printed. You can get out and call it a day. But before you do that, let me show you something. Let's say you missed this entry right here, right? You totally missed it. You're like, damn it, Shorty was too loud. Everybody was talking. I was not able to catch it. Well, what do you think you should do? Okay, well, here's your demand zone that we drew from earlier. This was the breakout of it. Actually, this entry was much better than this one. Does anyone know why?
Dumpster fire said retest. The Alchemist says wait for retest.
The retests are much stronger. And then if you drew this, watch now what happened to the fibs. I'll delete the previous fibs. Can you even put anything in between the pen? Like, can you put anything in between here?
Look at it.
They hit it on the penny, guys. I just took this swing high to low here to the demand zone, and look, you almost got a full run with this. And you risk, honestly, you could make this risk much smaller. If I was trading this would have been my entry right here. My stop loss would have been, so my entry would have been here. My stop loss would have been yesterday's low. And you can tell that it respected it, even though I wouldn't see the future. You see that it respected it all day. And I know Sequence has been posting for you guys about the actual reward, but look at this trade, guys. 4.5 risk to reward. I mean, this is beautiful trade. If you're to take this, you're going to make 200%. And it's just simple. And then if you add what we just talked about earlier, let's say that you're like, man, I'm not going to take it till this trend line's broken. Oh, okay, great, no problem. So your entry changes to here, and your risk then becomes, you can put a demand zone or you can put it slightly below so that way you don't get stopped out. And you're looking at about 1-3 ratio here, which is not bad. I'm serious. On a 0 DT, you can take that, but you have to keep your stop loss even less than this. Your stop loss has to be really tighter than this, me personally. If you're going to trade this, it would probably be something like this for me personally. I would not give it that much range to kind of take off. The theta would kill you. And this is just simply me using what I saw. I saw a consolidation. I didn't see any peaks, and basically, boom, short. Now that we are setting in higher lows, this was higher high, higher low, higher high, and now you're consolidating. The first thing that you should do on every day is this. So connect your lower lows, I'm sorry. You connect them, and if it breaks to that downside, short it. And if you shorted it here at 140, 126, you would have gotten it all the way back to 137.85. Now I lost my previous day low. I think it was somewhere around here, maybe not. 16. So it looks like it's here. Yeah, 137.04. So call it 137.05. If you got this right here on a break, best believe that this is going to be your target. It's going to go to day low. And then even if you don't trust me, here you go. my Fib target was 136.73. Me knowing and marking the previous day low and high helped tremendously because I would have gotten out here.
Maybe you can even go over A firm since we took it, Shorty.
Yep, we can cover A firm.
It made you do it like a swing alert, so they can understand how.
Yep. So here's your firm. Let me just remove all the crap that I have. So same concept in the firm, right? Because it was moving really, really violently in the morning. So this one's actually a beauty, right? So if you look at this, so here's the close. Here's your open. They kind of took it a little bit higher, and then they dipped it all the way lower. And here you see a little cup forming, or some people call it like a curl. And here's your sign that you go long or short on the break of this. So this is your orb low right here being set up at 945 candle. This is your orb low right here. This is your orb low, 92.34. Was to break below, you definitely take it, take it down and play this, and these are your levels before 9:30, before 10 o'clock. If this was to go higher, it's simple again. So if you're to take this trade, your entry should have been $93. It consolidated here, 2 candles, and once it broke that candle, you can take it higher. And then watch this now. Okay, so the 127 hit beautifully, the 1618 hit beautifully, and you're done. And if you grab, let's say some people grab the full swing, here's your levels if you wanted to do that. You can grab from previous, because this is a nice swing. You can grab that, or you can grab the beginning of the day high to the low, and these are your levels. So it would have been.
Yeah, Shorty, real quick. Somebody asked if you could chart Oracle too from the swing list.
Sure.
A second.
Real a question on this real quick. On the last chart, we had made a point to talk about how it would have been better to take it on the retest, whereas here we didn't get a retest. So how do you know when to wait for a retest or take it on the first break?
So that's where your risk and patience depends who you are personally, right? I am more aggressive in terms of buying, and I will usually take the break here. And that's just me personally. If you're more like, man, I really don't want to expose my capital here, I'll wait till it comes back. Sure, then you wait to come back and see if it comes back at any point to your level, and it doesn't seem like it did. They broke the orb high, which was set pretty much, I believe, here. So this was your orb high, 98.26. It did retest the orb high and continued, but it never retested the breakout here like many other stocks. So for me personally, I will take the break. If I'm playing, especially on Friday, if I'm playing the 0 DTEs, I would play the break here and use my profits and gains and close it out at that level.
Okay, got it.
And that's just my nature because I'm more aggressive and I'm willing to expose the capital that way. So that's your entry here in a firm. If you're looking to scalp this, it was a good setup. It does look very bearish still. If you look at this, for swinging, it's not ready. Does anyone know why?
Still making lower lows.
It's making lower lows and lower highs. Like there's actually nothing changed in this graph. Topics I wanted to cover was the fib channels. So if you go here, there's something called fib channels, and the way I have it set up, because a lot of us in humans, right, especially us, we like to cheat a little bit, where we make the chart do something that it shouldn't do. So if you got in an entry, I know I've seen people and I've coached people, they're like, yeah, man, but this line could be like this, and that means we're above this line, and I think I'm good because this line now could even come in here, and you see we're peaking, and now we're above this trend line. I'm like, dude, stop. Like, you don't do that. You be fair to yourself and be fair to the chart. Don't cheat, because you're just lying yourself. So for me, usually I'm looking for 2-3 trend touch points, and here's how I draw my channels, right? So if I look at this channel right here, it's a nice channel, right? I mean, it's going down, it's respecting this one, it came back to the top, now it's maybe holding the 50 line. And the way I have this set up, let's click on settings, I have the 0, the 1, and the 50. And you can, you custom change the colors to whatever you like. That's just my preference. If you want to have regular lines, sure, you can do that as well. Here it is. Here's your channel. And now I know I'm not cheating, I'm not shifting or whatnot. It's a systematic channel that's deadly accurate. And, if you wanted to add more stuff, you can actually add 61.8. You can add 1618, you can add 127 channels, and so on. But I just use it for purposes of having the 3 lines. Okay. So this is me using the channels, and I'm looking, okay, when you find a confluence point, especially when you use VPOCs, let's say there was a VPOC that was somewhere around here, or let's say right here. There was a VPOC. I'm not going to go into VPOCs because that's a different topic. But if there was a VPOC here that was, obviously untested, and we break this level here, there's a high chance that we will come back to here and bounce strongly. Well, especially in this case, because there's also a gap here.
Can you draw that fib channel again? I just
Yep.
want to see how you did it.
Yep. Let me do it real quick. Let me just delete all this. So when I draw channels, I look for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, daily or weekly. My lowest time frame that I'll look for is 30 minutes. I will not look for much below that. So I click the Fib channel. You can find the Fib channel under Fib section. So if you go here, there's something called Fib channel. So if you click on that guy, I usually like my magnet to be enabled, and I find 2 points to the upside or 2 points to the downside. So if you're drawing from the top, trying to grab that one. Here we go. This one. Then I just basically look at the line before I place it. So I'm looking, my mouse is so off. This one, I'm looking to see how does this line here respond. Right here, oh, this one's good. All right. So for me, it's 1, 2, and a third touch right here. So this channel is pretty good. And that's how I determine, if it's a channel that's going to be respected, you're looking for rejections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now, if it's going to go lower, it might fill that gap. It filled this gap here that it had perfectly at 92. Now, if it breaks below this level right here, 87, we could really short this bad boy all the way to 74. Okay, and that's the levels and confluence that I look for. For instance, if I was to actually play this, for me, 86, 76 breaks, and I'll be all about it. I will go heavy in this guy right here and try to make some money on the put side. And if you guys have been watching some news lately, I think Biden is speaking on Tuesday regarding actually COVID situation and what's going on. So the media is jumping in again, and whether it's real or fake, whatever, but they're going to scare some people, more people. So just be aware of that. So I'm probably more bearish than I am bullish for upcoming week. And then what do we have here? Anyone? Does anyone see anything, any patterns on this box right here? So is there any patterns here that you guys see?
Falling wedge, maybe?
All right, anyone else?
Bear, bear flag at the end.
Ah, yeah. Who said that?
Me, Brian.
Ah, good job. That's it. We have a bear flag that's right here. How do we know where the bear flag is going to go? What's the target? I don't have these lines. Let's say I don't have any of these. Brian, how do I know where the bear flag is going to go?
Fibs from the low to the high.
Okay, well, I don't have fibs.
Maybe previous day's low, maybe, or the.
Nope. Bear flags, bull flags are measured moves.
Oh, the price range tool, yeah.
Bear flags and bull flags are measured moves. So this right here to this, and the break of wherever it breaks it, it's a measured move. So if I wanted to really measure this without any fibs, if I grab this guy from here to here, and this is just me approximately figuring this out. So this is 23% move right here from 91 to this, so I can reverse it so you guys can actually see it. So I went from here, so about 18% down when I use the magnet. So now the way you find a range of a bear flag is this. If it breaks right here, you can go down 18%, 18.76. Okay, this is close enough. This would be my target to close. Okay, well, let's say now I got the fibs. And what do you guys see that's happening here? My second target's almost perfect alignment to actually the measured move of the whole bear flag. You guys see that?
No, could you use either of them? Doesn't matter.
You can use either one. Use both to confirm your level. I'd rather do this, spend 1 minute and know, than guess whether I was right or wrong. I promise you, if this breaks, Shorty will be in right here, or you could wait for what to get in. I'm going to test you guys to make sure you guys are getting this. What could you wait to get in? If you're not getting, this is our entry line right here. This guy's our entry line here. What else could you do to wait? Where could you get another entry on this bear flag?
Break of the low or that where it bounced right there.
Yes, good job. So this would be a safer entry if you got in on the break of 92. There is a decent range in between. So between your entry line and this one is $4. So you could get in, but be cautious. You could play 90 calls here, right? 90 puts here, and you would make decent money in a $4 drop. But you better be aware that there's congestion here. You have the 50% line. You have the previous low that's there. If you wait for 92 to break, you would actually have a decent drop again. You would have about $6 drop to the first target here, and your second drop would be about $14 below. Okay.
Yeah,
and
so
then
Jag asked, what about the previous day low?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely check previous day low. That's why I say always mark your previous day low. I did not do it here on the example that I was trying to show the Fib channels. So here's your previous day low. So here's your previous day low. Your previous day low was the 92 here. I'm sorry, but that is your previous day low, Jag. This low here was the previous day. So good question, and I accidentally marked it, but I didn't even check. So yes, this is your previous day low. Once you connect these points, this could be the play actually that we play on Monday. It's almost serving like a purpose of a watch list.
Yeah, to Shorty real quick, the Alchemist was curious about the 50% line and why you use it and why you have it on and what does it signify?
Yep, so good question. I mean, so for me, usually the channels have the top side, the bottom side, and then in between, I'd like to know if it's going to respect the 50% of the channel. So it's basically drawing the middle of the channel to know if it's respecting. And in many cases here, you see respecting here, you see a rejection off of it here, you see a respect right here, here it dips below, rejects lower, supports it, look here. So you had a confluence point of some sort here, it had a 50%, supported, went up, and it continued. And now it's below this It's below the 50% from this right here. It's below that, and it's below the 61.8, which was about $100.18. So for me, this looks very, very bearish. Like personally, this looks very bearish. If it wasn't a kangaroo market, I probably would have swung some puts on the firm and a few other stocks because they all have bear flags set up. Because just think about it. On Thursday, we had a huge spike. And then Friday, we did not have, we had a fall down. Was it, hold on, was the 15th? What was 15th? Oh, no, hold on. Wednesday, I'm sorry, the 15th, we had a huge spike. Thursday, we had a major fall down. And then Friday, somewhat of a recovery, a medium recovery. That tells you there was not enough buyers to take out the Wednesday high. You're setting up a bear flag. The bears are in control. And then if you're to add, this is where, you know, the power of knowledge comes in. You add some VPOCs and you add some levels here, and it makes it that much more powerful. On a stock like this, in TradingView, you're probably not going to get too far out here to calculate it. There's one way you could do it. It's called fixed range, and basically you're calculating the profile here yourself. So I'm looking for, you know, 930. So sorry, my mouse is just jumping everywhere. Okay, sure, this way. I'm just not gonna. Okay, so if I grab this POC, it's telling me that, you know, the POC for this range or that day, September 1st, is around this area. So if I was to mark this level and then kind of complete the rest, I would know what levels are important. So if below this level, what is that, 98.77? Yeah, 98.77. If it breaks that below, that would be below this POC right here. There's probably one being somewhere around here if I was to calculate it for this day. This is where I had the earnings, right, when they exploded. So does everybody follow, like, using channels, using the fibs, recognizing lower highs, connecting the lower lows or higher lows, connecting them for a possible downtrend, recognizing the bear flag that's happening here? I'll just remove all of this, hide all the indicators. So now this is a really, really simple play, guys. You can play this way, the bear flag. Or wait for the break right here and we get in.
Why won't you said you don't go lower than 30-minute for channels.
So every trader, especially futures trader, currency traders, they've never used below 30 minutes because they seem to be too many false breakouts. And when you test it, you know, if you're using 15 minutes, yes, sure, you might get some here. So it's just something that I've been comfortable with using. And if you're using something that works for you, by all means, right, continue using that. But here's a 15-minute trend here that I see, right? I'm just looking at a couple of points, 1, 2 points here, 1 point here, 2 points here, 3, right? For me, it's just not enough meat to be grabbing 15 minutes. I prefer 30 minutes or 1 hour. And like if you look here, I mean, it just looks, you see a lot more. Here's the 1 hour here. It's just that I'm able to capture this. And, you know, if you're looking on the other side, when it was actually making a bullish run, here's this. Does this make sense? I mean, you're welcome to use, even if you want to use 1 minute. Of course, you can use 1 minute. If you're, you know, scalping or trading or whatnot, you can definitely use it. Somebody said, what ticker? Somebody mentioned, I'm sorry, I forgot. Was it Oracle?
Yeah, or
Yeah, Oracle. You can chart that.
Okay, so let's look at Oracle. Oracle actually had some good news after yesterday or today. They had some good news that came out. All right, so Oracle had a huge gap right here. They had decent earnings. They gapped up all the way. This was a nice down channel here. So if you're looking at this guy right here, and I'm just drawing, I'm cheating here, but I think it's close. Well, I'm still cheating. Okay. So this is a nice channel here. Obviously, we wanted to catch that kind of here. We missed it. We bought it here. I was hoping that it breaks this, and then it continues. And I think, Flipper, did you alert here on in TA? I think you alerted 100 calls on this. Is Flipper on?
He's on his phone. I don't know if he's got his mic
Okay.
on.
I think he actually did alert the calls right here.
Yeah, he posted a screenshot when he first joined. It was like 10,000%. He made like 30K.
Yeah. So he did alert calls here, which was a nice spike in earnings. And now you're watching for where this is going to stop going, right? So if I'm looking at this, how to figure this out now is you grab the low and you grab the highs here. Does that make sense? I'm looking, when you grab from low to high, I'm looking for support targets. When I'm grabbing from high to low, I'm looking for extended targets. And that's why I have 127 and 161 enabled, because retracements are supposed to be going from 0 to 100, but I just add these and I replace it basically instead of using fib extensions. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? I'm looking to see where's the next support for Oracle using fibs. And here's the targets based on this swing here. I'll be able to predict that it was going to hit 102 and 105 and basically miss this by 60 cents. Okay, so low to high, we're looking for support. So if I wanted to see this, I'm looking for support. My idea was that it was going to hold the 97.03. There's a confluence now, obviously, here. You guys see there's a nice confluence of fibs in 94.83. There is some news coming out on Oracle. I believe they're buying another company. But I think that it might propel them if they take that as a good news. And I think they will, because somebody obviously drove the price up all the way up here. Somebody knew something. So the idea here is that we're going to reverse, and I think, if I remember, and I believe so, that Flipper showed that there was a bullish divergence on the chart, on trade, on the whatever the tool he's using for flow algo. I think Catching Rockets got it too. So the idea was that it was going to hold here. If it doesn't, I am pretty positive we're going to get a nice bounce here at 94.83 level here. But we should be getting a bounce right here off of these candles. And it kind of seems like we did here. So this candle here is probably not a bad candle if you're really risk averse, 96.42 to be your stop loss. If not, just wait for the 94, whatever, 83. Okay. So let's check real quick. I just want to show you guys. So here's ES. Okay. So watch this. Not that. Okay. So this was the higher high. It came back. Obviously, they rejected this one. It broke it. We came back for a retest here, and they respected it. A lot of buyers, a lot of professional traders will not buy this breakout here. And that's what Jag was talking about. When do you know when to buy it, when to not? Well, honestly, sometimes you have to put the sector that the stock is in, right? Understand if everything is moving up or down. Like, you want to have you guys hear me usually say the ads here, SPY's moving, SPY's hitting a bear flag, or ES is hitting a resistance. Those points, when I'm saying, I'm not saying to just say it. It's basically telling me that that there's a resistance on the overall market that's coming, and if overall market is going to come down, one little stock that probably is not a big percentage in that is not going to make a dent. And what I try to explain to you guys, just between retail traders, we are something like this. This is retail traders in the market. This is the rest of the market. So we are the small circle, they are the big circle. We cannot move a single stock as much as they can move. Okay?
It's depressing, but it's true.
It is depressing, but until one of us becomes a trillionaire, we're not going to change it. And hopefully you remember us, whoever does that. Okay, so, and then simply here, I just, for shits and giggles, I used ES. I drew from high to low, and I'm able to figure out where the resistance is on ES. So for me, this is a fairly good target to keep on my chart. And if I wanted to know where is this gonna find support, tell me, where do I grab the fibs from?
From the high to the low of the uptrend? No. Yeah.
From the low to the high.
Wait.
From here?
I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, this is a good trend. This is a good one to use. Okay, and look what it's telling you. Is anyone seeing anything that it's telling them? Let me just remove the other fibs for a second.
The 618 seemed to be support there.
The 618, the golden fib. This is what I call the most important fib. Usually I have different color on it, but I think I had a different chart. This is my color on this one. The 4587 from fib is very important. What else can we add now that you just learned where we know where it's shorted? Okay.
Lower low.
Yes, good. So this one here is making, this one here is pretty powerful. It touched multiple times here, touched here. Now, and this was the breakout level. So pay attention to this. Anytime you have a breakout level like this, I guarantee you with Shorty's life, it will be retested. It doesn't matter what it is, what stock it is, or if they're making flying cars that are electronic, they will come back and retest the breakout level. The reason why that happens is not just because it's a breakout level, is because, let me just make this not extend. In this level right here, and if you were to use VPOCs, we probably wouldn't catch it because it stops somewhere around here, is there's a lot of buyers that didn't catch this, right? So there was a seller here, he sold a crap load of his stock, then he did not have anything more to sell, and that's where your short interest or whatnot is calculated. They're like, yep, we're going to go take it higher. And they took it higher, but some buyers here never got filled. So they're going to actually keep their bids here, and they're going to be like, okay, thank you guys, we'll wait here till it comes, and then we'll buy it. And then the retail sees that level, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to go higher. And we jump in probably somewhere around here when the other guy, that there's another seller here, is looking to sell. So for us, is you got to think like them, and you got to play like them if you want to make money. You do not buy here, you buy on the tests, you buy on your support levels, you buy right here to go along and put the stop loss slightly below. For us, let's say it's probably around here because we're not dealing with billions and millions. So this is where we look for the buying. We don't buy here or here or here. You could buy right here on the breakout of this wick because you're a little bit more conservative and then run it. But definitely don't buy it like when it breaks this wick right here, because if you use fibs, you would know how much room you got. So you're 4697, you're risking it to go to 4730. For day trade, sure, on SPX that will pay you nicely. But imagine if you got some swings right here. If you bought some swings right here at 4550s, let's say you bought 4700s on this day, December 6th, and on December 8th, it hit 4700. Is Juan on?
I'm right here.
How much does SPX pay if you bought it at, if you on December 6th, you bought 4550, you bought 4700?
At least 10 to 15x.
Yep, you'd probably pay maybe $3 for this contract, and you would probably make about $7,000 for each contract on this. Okay, so that's why it's important that you guys know the fibs. They understand the swing high, the swing low. They understand the breakout levels. They understand the previous day high. If you're scalping, mark the previous day high, mark the previous day low, know your targets, right? If, for instance, if a target from you is running away, let me just go back to AMD. So let's say this was the AMD trade, where was it, December 17, here's 930. Let's say that this was our entry here. It was somewhere around, let me see, let's say this was our entry, because a lot of people use, you know, the trigger people on Twitter or whatnot. I guarantee if you were to go to Twitter and Google or put AMD, a lot of people probably had this level as a trigger, 139.80. And a lot of them probably took it here and they got kind of washed here and they're like, oh shit, it's going to go higher. And then they literally got stopped out. What you can do in the mornings, if you're not patient or you want to trade the morning rush, that's okay. You can trade it all you want. Here's your 930. One option is if it's not making the swings, like lower high, lower high, lower high. See if it's consolidating like AMD is. Grab the tallest wicks, draw a rectangle. Once it breaks it, take a long, draw your fibs from high to low, and that's going to be your targets, just like here. I promise you're going to make a lot of money just using the simple logic right here. And it will hit almost every freaking time. So that's one method that you can do. If this level, just pretend, let me see, actually, can I correct candles here? No. Thinkorswim can correct candles. So if there was a swing here, if you connect it, and even let's say, let's pretend this one here was a higher swing and it's here. Basically, you can take it on a break or you can wait for the retest. In this case here, let's say you took this trade once, you took it long here, and then you sold based on the fibs, you sold it right here somewhere. You definitely should buy here. You wait for the retest of this consolidation that was there, you buy it, and look how perfect that worked.
Nice little double bottom.
And it has a double bottom, correct. So it has one here. Where do you take the double bottom? Where's your entry in double bottom, anyone?
After the breaks the neck.
Yep, so this would be your entry right here. That candle, maybe not loud, but that candle there. And then you see the double bottom for the rest of the day. Correlate these points, like connect them. It popped from here, it went higher. Now it broke that neckline here to the downside. And then it came all the way to the consolidation area that was already there. Once it broke this area again, you could go long again. I mean, 137.82 to 138.96. I'm pretty sure you can make money in 0 DTEs on that run here. Like this right here. This right here, you can make money on. KB, I do trade live Monday through Friday. Not sure what you want me to do on demand to show this. I mean, it would be pretty much identical. I can do it probably not tonight, but I can definitely, we can schedule one and go through it. I do trade live. If you're not able to join we can record some live sessions that I do and then go from there. So Monday, if you guys want, I can demonstrate how I use it using just naked trading. I will not have anything else on my chart but what I have now. And we'll trade one of these live on Monday. I'll hop in and we'll trade the same aspect here. We'll look for consolidations. We'll mark our levels, right? We'll know the levels. I'm not going to go blind. I'm going to know where my previous day high is, right? Or previous day low. So let me make sure the daily might be easier. And AMD looks to actually be a little bit bearish. Okay, so this is the high, 142. We closed at 138. Psychologically, you know that there's a 140 number that's in play as well on AMD. This is the low right here, 136. So if you were to look at this candle, I mean, it's fairly bearish candle, but let's see. So we'll try to trade this one, and there's a couple of other setups actually that, if you look at PayPal here, I mean, what do you guys see on PayPal here?
Nice big gap.
Okay, what else?
Consolidation.
Consolidation, yeah, that's it. So there's actually a couple of them that are happening. There's a rectangular consolidation happening right here. Let me just grab this guy here. Okay. The best way to play PayPal is the break of 197.69. Then you have a gap at 215 and all the way to 224. And this is just naked trading. This is all, I'm just looking at levels and charting them. Then I look at the levels here and I'm like, okay, well, is there any channels that I can draw? Obviously, there's consolidation here. So if I was to extend this line, you see here how well it held. So this actually might not be a bad play here unless we do something crazy on Monday due to the COVID. We might actually go and pop down more. If we do, go down more, we can find targets definitely based on this. You have your Fibs. It looks like 144. That would be the next target to play on PayPal if it breaks 179. All right, let's see. We just covered ES. I don't know if you're watching. Same concept, ES, SPY. It's going to be the same exact chart. So you have this level. You could play the break of 448, which is pretty far. I'm not going to chart AMC. I don't care about AMC that much. You can go to, I'm not trying to get you guys into meme stocks. If I find a meme stock that's going to run, you can ask Flabby that I can find them. Once I find one, I'll alert it. Flabby, did you make 100 grand on the Flabby left?
Yeah, I made over. I did, but no.
Yeah, Flabby made over 100 grand on my AMC call out. I think this was like a couple of months back. You cannot time AMC right now. They're losing money. There's two more hedge funds that closed. The loss is about $14 billion. They have friends that have money. Their friends have money. Now the retail is not going to hold the line. These guys will find everything and anything possible to actually get you to lose money. And like I mentioned a few times, I think Catching Rockets remembers, I strongly believe that there are so many hedge funds that were losing money on plays like that they're actually looking to bring the whole market down because they're unable to bring one stock down. So they will definitely do that. Okay, so here, I think if we break this level right here, which is, what is this, about 453, might serve potentially as a next area, and I'm just grabbing VIX. I'm not even looking at VPOCs. I'm exhausted. I just drew a line in the middle of nowhere. So 458.06 break, there's a high chance that we will dip. We will probably get some sort of bounce here. Whenever you have a channel lined up with some sort of support, it would cause them to get margin call, but they would rather buy it at the end of the year at a much cheaper price than buy it at $66 catching rockets. They would much rather get margin called at when you're short market and the market's falling, your actual chance of getting margin called is lower than if the price was going up. So it's in their favor to bring the price as far as possible down. And, you know, they're closing down and everything. I mean, that all is against AMC, right? Like if they close down, then you're not going to be going to movies. So let's say that this is your bullish scenario for Monday. You guys can tell how well these candles here are lined up. 464, fairly important level. In between here is going to be consolidation right here. And it has a channel. I do think I'm more bear now, but I can't tell you till the market opens. I can't predict the future. I would expect that we're going to go down, but let's see. I think they're looking for an overreaction. So I'm pretty positive they're going to try to actually cause the market sell-off before we even wake up on Monday. So Sunday, 6 a.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. tomorrow, I think they're going to try that. So you had this level here that it bounced perfectly before, so 459.08. If it breaks that, there's a strong chance that we might go all the way to the next POC of 452. So it might not be bad if we see that we are bearish, that if we dip below 458, it might not be a bad idea to protect yourself if you have any shares or whatnot at about 450 puts for this upcoming week. It might not be the worst idea. My favorite setup for swinging, I'm almost entering the zone of passing out. I'll do a few more and then we'll call it a day. This is my favorite setup right here. So a few weeks back, when I was in my previous group, I was screaming about this setup right here. This is something that I love. If I can find this, I will take trades on this any time of the day. I mean, I don't know why my mouse.
I think I hit this one with you.
You did?
Yeah, the falling wedge breakout on Vimeo.
Oh yeah. So this is one of my favorite setups right here. It's basically a falling wedge into a demand zone. For me, this is, oh God, I don't know why my mouse is lagging so much. I have to charge it. This is one of my favorite setups right here. Is whenever you have a falling wedge into the demand zone, I mean, you will hear me screaming about stuff like this. I think FSLR, yeah, this is the one. The Shorty's having all of his eyes on right here. Might just have to charge this thing a little bit more. Okay, so I'm actually watching this one. I didn't want to bring it up yet. I want it to be kind of like a surprise thing, but here, watch this. If we break this level right here, about $97, this thing will rocket from here. And I think this is First Solar, so Dirty Mix, I think you might know a thing or two about this fundamentally, but it has a really, really, really good setup, guys. This is a beautiful setup for explosion higher, and I think a lot of companies, I know TAN has one. Yeah, there goes TAN on the double bottom here. So TAN has one. There's an EMPH, another one. So this one actually filled the gap, and it's building a reverse hammer here. So for me, this is beautiful. For me, this is just plain out gorgeous setup here. maybe a little bit higher. There. So there's two ways to play these. When you're in it, you can play the true breakout. A lot of professional traders will buy, especially when there's a pin bar inside the wedge right here, they will buy this long. They will buy this long with their eyes closed. And fill the gap completely. Now, if we can get over, I guess, over the gap about 190, let's say call it 191 on a good day. Call it 191, we get over it. This might fly.
Plug looks like it too. Looks familiar or similar.
No, yeah, that's identical. A lot of these stocks got beat up. And I think the reason, this is just my speculation, this is not true. I think there's going to be a bill coming out soon, something with the government that basically entices people to go more electric, more solar, the Green Deal to save the planet. And if that's the case, you guys remember the plug? Not even going to talk about plug. This is worse than anything else in my life. It went all the way to like 74, and I had the $2 calls on this. So yeah, I was pretty upset when this happened.
Just like AMC.
AMC, I made a lot of money on. AMC, I alerted at $1.98. I remember the day I alerted it. I alerted $4.50, $5 calls, $10 calls, 12.5 calls. I was all over AMC. I think ahead of anyone. And then I tried to buy Hertz shares at 40 cents, and Thinkorswim kept declining my orders for like a week. And when I called them, they just would hang up every time I would bring the topic. Yeah, this looks really good. So plug looks beautiful. I'm pretty sure. What's another solar? I mean, I'm sure there's more that I'm not aware of.
Check Sunruns. I don't know if they're in that same
What's that? Which one is it?
run, just RUN.
There's this one, SunPower. Yeah, I mean, they got. Well, this one actually has the best setup of all of these catching rockets. This is a bullish piercing candle here on the daily. And this one here, if you guys look, this is just beautiful. There's some beautiful setups here, guys. I think this is next to run. Man, I think we're into EV next week. Yeah, this looks good. Oh, FCell was the other one, yes. FCell was another one. I know FCell because I was watching FCell for some time now. This is just a straight down channel, and this is gorgeous too, man. Man, I get so excited about plays like this. I mean, look at this. This is so good. This looks so good. Oh my god, this looks beautiful. Somebody, can you take notes on some of these stickers? Because I'm probably going to forget some. That we just don't lose FCell, TAN. What's the Chinese car makers? NIO?
XPEV, LI.
Yeah, XPEV. This one does not look good yet. This one, not good. It's going to go lower. Okay, this one looks good. Okay, double bottom right here. This is called Adams double bottom. It's not coming flat, it's coming increase. And when you see a double bottom, what you want to notice is you see the first bottom here, see the volume? See the bears are in control here. But you see the second bottom, they're hitting here. Well, I don't know how I got this candle, but sure. Here you're noticing that we were picking up a little bit more red than we did. So now, honestly, if you wanted to be a patient trader, As Juan earlier mentioned, this would be your entry 32.91, which is not far, and you could play, you know, some decent calls here to about 37. So if you play, I don't know, the increments, maybe 34, 38, if they have 38s or 40s, play 40s for March. Actually, you could even play February for LI, and that would be good. I think that would be good. A lot of people are talking about tariffs, imports, and stuff like that. The last thing the U.S. right now needs is more tariffs between countries. We can barely pay any of the stuff that we got right now in terms of inflation. So I doubt that that would be a good strategic call by Joe Biden and his administration to do that. If this was to break, let's say on Monday, this was to break right here, this level breaks on Monday, 27.78. This is easy puts, guys. This is going to be easy puts for about $2 to $3. It'll probably go to the bottom of the channel right here. Okay. Actually, on this one, I'm actually checking contracts on this one.
Did you take a look at SoFi after this?
Yep. Let's see. I'm saying it's going to go to $38. Guys, $38 for this are at $1.60. There's an open interest on these at $45 for March. It's the highest open interest that it has right here. 29 call for this week. Yeah, I can see that happening. It could go to $30 here. I reject. It might not be bad to get a starter position, especially if we see the break of this high here, 28-ish, 29, 22s. If it breaks that, it might reject here. So the safer bet would be, let's just see if it takes this out, 27, I mean, ideally, we want to buy it at the bottom of this support. I personally don't see them crushing this below. So it might not be bad to watch this. And it's really, I mean, volume was spiked. There's not a lot of increase in the sale. Green volume picking up. And here's that concept on the daily that we talked about. Look, here, and then exploded. And this is something that I think what was the other company that I alerted? It wasn't Nokia. It was another one that popped with AMC. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was Nokia. Oh, it was Nokia. Yeah, it was Nokia. That I actually used this simple concept for this as well. When this popped, I was using basically consolidation points on this to catch this guy all the way up. And that day they screwed us over when they shut down the basically the buying, the selling, and I had tons of contracts on AMC, Nokia. There's another one. Is it BlackBerry? PB?
Yeah, BlackBerry.
BlackBerry Express.
Oh yes, Express I had as well. And look at this, guys. This is basically where I alerted this on Nokia. It was $4. I think I don't know if Slabby's on. I think I had either. I don't want to lie. I can't even check my history. I had the $10 calls and I had something else, and these were literally printing. And then the next day they lost half the value when they did what they did. But you can tell this is not ready yet. A lot of you guys are wanting like AMC. Yeah, I mean, this is a gorgeous candle. Does this have a chance of going up? Fuck yeah. This, by the rules, by the charts, this has the ability to go up. But here, if you look at it, right, so it has this, basically has this consolidation here. So, and it has a descending triangle that it's building. It's in their favor right now to break this below so they can buy these shares cheaper. They'd rather buy it at 14 than buy it at 28. But you see the uptick in volume, and maybe people are not selling. I don't know who has shares. I haven't checked short interest much on it. But I do have something on Thinkorswim that helps me find these plays. And I'll run a scan right now since you guys are interested kind of in it. Let me find it.
You're talking about like a short squeeze scan?
Yeah.
How do you like calculate that and stuff?
So basically, I created a scan in TTM using Revolut and using TTM and some Bollinger Bands that tells me when it's pretty much in the same area. So let me see if I can bring this chart over. Come on. Go there. Okay, doesn't want to come over here on this screen. All right, so here's the scan that I just ran here. These stocks are coming up on the TTM and the daily Revolut scan right now. So all of these, and this one's interesting here. And here, obviously, I need to change this for you guys that like to play it, maybe. So some of these are in scan now. Okay, so here's all of them on TTM squeeze that have TTM squeeze actually in red zone right now. All of these are actually squeezing right now, like Costco squeezing. Actually, I had something on Market Watch. No, I don't have it anymore. It's not. I had something built before on Market. I'll have to look for it. Basically, they told me how many bars are in the squeeze and everything. So we'll look for it. I'll try to find it and see if I can help you guys. But I'll look for one play where we can buy long out calls and see if we can catch some nice couple of thousand percentages. And that's where you don't put your whole account. You just put like $1,000 and you forget it, or small portion of your account. Okay. Any questions about anything we covered tonight? Yes, I saw UPST flipper. I did see that actually. I think I checked it this morning. Yeah, I did see that it filled the gap right here. Yeah. I don't know what this company does, honestly. I have no idea what they do. But would you say, Bertie, that I found some good calls on UPST?
Oh man, I remember those back in August. I think my only problem was cutting them too short.
Yeah, we had some calls for UPST. I think it was 145 calls.
160, I thought.
160. Yeah, I think we had them here, actually around here, right? Yeah, right here.
It was way early. There was a time I had to average down, and I was like, "Are you sure these things are going up?"
Yeah, I told him, yeah, I mean, 160 calls with this guy hit.
He even said this thing would be like 300 by the end of the year.
Yeah, that was just solely based on the Fibs guys calculating that. It was not that difficult. So there you go. That was the idea, that it was going to hit this 1618, which I would say hit it fucking right on. It wouldn't be bad, Flipper, to take this over the close of Friday. I think we're going to be bearish, guys, on Monday. They're going to try to dump this. So I would watch this. I mean, Qs have a lot of room to go down. And this is right here, if you're looking. And this breaks, this level breaks, guys. If this and this breaks, and did anyone check any SPYs contracts? Did anyone check any of this on Friday before you guys left? Okay, well, I did. Does anyone see something right here that's like interesting?
12,000.
That's insane. 48 cents.
12,000 of them. So, I mean, think about it. You don't put in $600,000 into something that you don't know about. I mean, I haven't met a person that does that. There's some January 7,500. This is actually a spread here.
255. Isn't that like 255 puts?
Yep.
Isn't that like?
My target's 290. I don't know where he got 255. My target's 290.
You think SPY can really go that low?
Okay, let me show you something. SPY actually will go lower than that. All right.
The only reason I say that is basically like solely based on like it being like the S&P 500. You know, like.
It doesn't mean shit. Don't put that in your head. Pre-COVID high is right here at 339, right? Once we broke it, we never went above it, came back to test it. Where do you think the test is? if you're gonna break this downtrend channel here.
Yeah, 339.
You're coming back to 340s. You actually had the most struggle at 390, which was right here. The most relative struggle was right here. 294s. That's where I think it's gonna go.
Shorty, could you chart CHPT for catching rockets? I was considering not asking, but he's over here like, typing away.
So you think we correct soon, basically?
Okay, so this one, I don't know what this is and what they do.
They're EV. They're for electric vehicle charge. They're like Blink.
Okay, who's bigger?
I think ChargePoint. I'm not sure.
He touched CHPT was Chipotle. Okay, well, I mean, this looks good, but it's in a descending.
Chipotle.
Okay, there's one really bad thing here. Who can notice it? Who sees it? There's one really bad thing here.
A lot of volume on selling off.
Okay, tell me more. I showed you guys something on triple bottoms on Friday. First bottom that you do, you're expected to see a lot of red candles like here. On the second tap, right, if you want to call it here, you should see a little less red candles, a little more green candles, and that's actually what's happening, right? So here you came in, you tapped it again, and you're picking up the green candles. On third try, on the bottoms, you should really not see many red candles. But in this case, what are you seeing here? It's all red candles. It's literally like taking over right here. And this is on the weekly chart. Okay, so if you look at the daily, you look at this predominantly. Here it's mostly red. Here, again, picked up green. Now there's still red. There's a green buyer with a hammer candle. If this is a true reversal on a pin bar, because this is a really good candle, if you wanted to be aggressive on this and you want to scoop it up, if this is anything with EV, there's something going on with EV. And, you know, we can figure it out. I can look into it, what the government's been doing, like the governors, see if they have been secretly buying some shares. We can check that and see. Honestly, if this breaks, you would want it to break $20 if you want it to go on swings. You really don't want to fuck with this level here. Sorry, my language, but you really, really want this over 20. And I'll do myself a favor. We'll set that up here over 2029. And you can look for some swings on this. Obviously, it's one of my favorite setups. So any time you guys see something like a falling wedge into a demand zone, yeah, just scream my name and I'll be awake for these to look at it to make sure that we're good. If this candle was on the bottom here, that's even better. It's a better risk to reward. But it's okay here. So yeah, we can look for this. If you want to play 20 calls on a break of 1928, you probably make between 60 to 80% on this here. We can make a lot more percent if we play this here. Play 25 calls. When's the earnings? They're still far out. I think they're going to drop this more after this rejection here. But all right, if no other questions, I'm going to hop off. I need some actually water. I've been talking the whole time. What time is 11:40? So we've been running about 2 hours. Hopefully you guys picked up some knowledge. So remember, in the mornings, you can definitely use the 3 minutes before 10 a.m. Look for those consolidation patterns. Look for the breaks. Connect the wicks. If there's no, if it dumps like this one here, let me just remove this. What is this? CHPT. If it consolidates like this one here, I mean, this is a really good example. If it consolidates like this, look, you can buy the breakout, and look what it did here. You buy again here, and it took off again. And then simple concept, quick summary. You go here, you have your calls, you have your fibs, and eventually you get a hit perfect onto your fib. You probably would have taken some money up here off of the gap fill. But this is just what goes through Shorty's head when I'm looking. I notice the gaps, I notice my levels, and this is not a perfect fib. It's actually a little bit lower right there. Maybe even here if I messed up. Okay. But hopefully it's not, I'm not overwhelming you, but here's remember I was trying to get the AMD one to look like this, where it has a peak. And here's that peak that I'm talking about, right? So you have this peak right here running into a demand zone, guys. Think about this. You have a demand zone here off the bottom curl. You have the lower high. Connect the lower highs. You can get in here or get in here. I suggest for the beginners, wait for the retests. If you're more aggressive, you can buy this. Just be quick to take the profits. If you get 20%, take your 20%. 20% in this market. Don't wait for 100%. You're not going to kind of become a millionaire off of one trade. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you guys picked up. If you have questions and you have scenarios or whatever you want to know, please ask me. I mean, that's why we're here. I see a lot of things. I know a lot of methods of trading, and I'll be happy to help you kind of if something is not your style, if orbs is not your style or whatnot, it's not working. We can find plenty of styles for you to actually figure it out and find a way for you to be profitable to your personal style. And just by the way, this was a perfect supply zone here on the top, and look where it rejected. All right. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys joining, and hopefully you guys picked up something. If not, we'll keep going at it. The guide's almost, I would say, 70% done. I had to slow it down a little bit with the wifey being pregnant. But once the guide's put up together, once you go through it like a Bible, I think you guys will pick up a lot more and feel a lot more confidence through it. So thank you guys. Good night.
Thanks, man.